Imagine paint so radiant it lit up the dark, hiding an invisible monster destroying human bones. Consequently, young factory workers painted watch dials cheerfully, completely oblivious to the agonizing fate awaiting them. Therefore, the powerful corporation insisted this miraculous, glowing radium substance was entirely safe and highly medicinal. Do you enjoy shocking historical secrets? Please comment below, subscribe, and like for the final revelation. During the Roaring Twenties, a mesmerizing new element called radium became the ultimate global consumer obsession. People drank radioactive water and bought glowing cosmetics, believing it provided eternal youth and endless energy. However, the darkest application unfolded inside a massive watch dial factory located in New Jersey. Consequently, hundreds of teenage girls flocked there eagerly, excited by the incredibly high weekly wages. Their specific daily task was painting tiny numbers onto military watches using a special radium mix. But the fine camel hair brushes lost their shape rapidly after just a few delicate strokes. Therefore, factory supervisors explicitly instructed the girls to use their lips to point the brushes. Consequently, every single time they pointed a brush, they swallowed a small amount of radium. The girls even playfully painted their teeth and fingernails green to surprise their boyfriends later. They called themselves the Ghost Girls because their entire bodies literally glowed brightly in the dark. However, radium behaves exactly like calcium once it enters the complex structure of human anatomy. Consequently, the human body mistakenly absorbed the deadly radioactive element directly into the deep bone tissue. Thus, the invisible poison silently blasted their bones with constant, destructive radiation every single second. Within a few short years, the terrifying physical consequences began destroying the girls' vibrant health. First, their teeth began loosening mysteriously, forcing local dentists to extract them with minimal effort. However, the raw, empty sockets refused to heal, growing agonizingly inflamed and constantly oozing pus. Consequently, their entire jawbones began to decay, crumbling entirely like brittle chalk under slight pressure. In one horrific medical case, a woman's entire lower jaw dropped completely out during an examination. Furthermore, their fragile leg bones fractured spontaneously from simply walking across a flat living room. Terrified, the suffering workers realized the company had lied completely about the glowing paint's safety. Therefore, a small, brave group of dying women decided to sue the massive corporation fiercely. However, the wealthy corporate executives used their massive fortunes to delay the court trials indefinitely. Consequently, they cynically hoped the ailing plaintiffs would pass away before a verdict was reached. They even hired corrupt medical experts to falsely claim the girls suffered from advanced syphilis instead. This cruel diagnosis smeared the young women's pure reputations, causing intense social isolation and shame. Rules of justice were defied, but the determined radium girls refused to back down entirely. A brilliant lawyer named Raymond Berry agreed to represent the fragile women completely free of charge. Consequently, he gathered undeniable scientific proof regarding the lethal nature of internal radioactive material poisoning. During a dramatic courtroom hearing, 2 women were too weak to even raise their hands. Therefore, the public was deeply shaken by the graphic, undeniable evidence of massive corporate negligence. Meanwhile, the company's own president secretly took extreme precautions to avoid touching the deadly paint. This sickening hypocrisy proved they knew about the extreme danger long before the girls sickened. Consequently, the court judge finally ruled in favor of the heroic, dying factory workers. The historic victory forced corporations to pay significant financial compensation and cover all medical bills. More importantly, the monumental legal case directly established the right of workers to sue for injuries. Therefore, it fundamentally transformed American labor laws, saving millions of future factory workers from danger. However, for the tragic radium girls, the incredible legal triumph arrived far too late. Most of the original plaintiffs passed away shortly after the historic settlement was finalized. Yet, their radioactive bodies continue to tell their heartbreaking story from deep beneath the earth. Scientists later exhumed some of the graves to measure the remaining levels of radiation. Surprisingly, their skeletal remains were still glowing brightly and setting off sensitive Geiger counters. Because radium has a half-life of 1,600 years, they will glow for millennia. Consequently, their final resting places remain highly active radioactive hot zones even today. Isn't it deeply haunting how corporate greed literally altered human biology at a cellular level? The tragic saga serves as a permanent, chilling monument to the birth of occupational safety. We owe our current workplace protection guidelines directly to the unimaginable suffering of these women. Their historic battle proved that human lives must always be valued over corporate financial gains. Consequently, the memory of the ghost girls must never be forgotten by modern society. They transformed from disposable factory assets into powerful icons of historic legal revolution. Therefore, the next time you look at a glowing watch dial in the dark, remember the brave radium girls who paid the ultimate, glowing price for our modern safety.